Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. It is Global Entrepreneurship Week at my alma mater, St. Thomas University. I do have a couple of events that I will be participating in and attending this week. So in honor of that, I thought I would come on here and share with you guys my personal journey into entrepreneurship, my journey into acting, writing, and producing. More importantly, more specifically, I should say, how I self-funded my first season of my show, The Associates. So grab yourself your favorite beverage, grab yourself a pen and paper if you want to take notes, and let's get into the content of today's video. So let me start off telling you who this video is for. This video is really for the aspiring entrepreneur, the aspiring actor, writer, producer who is maybe on the fence about entrepreneurship, maybe on the fence about becoming an actor, writer, producer. Maybe you want some insight or some advice from a different perspective. And my goal is to give you guys some tips, some encouragement, and make that process a little bit easier for you. So let me start off by saying, and I think I said this in one of my previous videos, that my journey into entrepreneurship was not planned at all. It was really something that I just stumbled into as I was progressing through college and, after college. A little bit about my background. I was born and raised and still living in Miami, Florida. I was public speaker for 11 years, all over South Florida, doing speech and debate competitions, doing different type of engagements. And the reason that happened was because of my birth story of surviving a stroke at birth and, overcoming the odds. So for 11 years, I was all over, just sharing that story. And what happened was by the time I got to high school, I was burnt out. I was over it. I didn't want anything to do with a career in media, television, nothing at all. So from high school until maybe about my first or second year of college, I was just unmotivated. To be clear, I was actively in college taking classes, but I was not inspired. I was just in that space of going to class and coming home, just doing something just to do something. So my sophomore year, my speech professor, he encouraged me to take a video production class. My junior year, he said that it would, I would learn about some careers possibly behind the camera. I would learn about editing, and he said it would probably give me some different outlets to look at. And so I took his advice and I registered for the course, and I reconnected with an old friend of mine from high school. And he was taking the class. He was an aspiring filmmaker, and a group of the guys, they put on a horror web series around campus. And watching their creativity unfold, watching their work ethic, it really inspired me. And it kind of got me to thinking, I think I'd like to do this. So I kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. And just, my focus really was just kind of graduate and figure out what's next. So that brings us to my undergrad graduation in 2013. I graduated. I took a year off just to kind of just let my brain rest and just, because I was over school. And my best friend, Rayshawn Coleman, she's a filmmaker. She has a YouTube channel. I'll link it down below if you guys want to check it out. She called me up one night and she encouraged me to start watching this show called Revenge. And if you guys have never heard of Revenge, the premise basically is about this young woman who moves to the Hamptons, and she moves next door to this wealthy family. But the twist about this wealthy family is that they were responsible for her father's false imprisonment. And so she infiltrates their social circle and takes them down one by one. Y'all, from the first episode, I was hooked because the storylines, the characters, the wardrobe, it motivated me. It hooked me in from the very beginning. And that became a Sunday ritual for Rayshawn and I. But it also gave birth to our writing career. So we started writing different concepts. And then around 2014, 2015, I decided to go back and pursue my master's degree. I do have a master's in business management from St. Thomas University. My logic and my reasoning behind doing that was, okay, if I do this acting, this writing, this producing thing, and I pitch a show, I do want to have an understanding of finance, of business, of marketing. So let me go ahead and do this. Well, the master's took me about 2.75 years, because I was taking one class every 9 weeks. I was taking my time with this, with my master's program. And around 2016, 2017, my last semester in my master's, a professor of mine gave us a class assignment. Put together a business plan for either a company that you want to work for one day or a business you'd like to own one day. Now, this was not planned, but I did the class assignment on a film production company, on having my own film production company. How crazy is that? So I guess the universe and God must have had a sense of humor to put me kind of on this path. So I turned in the assignment, and when I got it back, my professor said that she would like to see me put that in action. And so she was really the driving force behind me kind of putting the plan into play. So for the next couple years, for the next 2 years after graduation, after I graduated in 2017, I continued to write, I continued to retool, refine, my production company idea. That brings us to 2020, and we all know what a crazy year 2020 was. But I wrote a script in 2020, towards the end of 2020. It was 5 episodes, about 15 minutes each. And, at that time I said, you know what, enough sitting on the sidelines, enough thinking about it. Just go ahead, just do it. Just put yourself out there. And so around that time, I registered my business with the state of Florida on Sunbiz. And then I reconnected with an old friend of mine from California. I hadn't spoken to him in about 4 or 5 years. And so we were catching up, and I told him about some of the stuff that I was getting ready to do. And I asked him, I said, hey, I put together a TV show. Would you like to do this with me? And to my amazement, y'all, he agreed. And that motivated me, because I was like, wait, now this thing that I'm doing is starting to kind of take shape. It's bigger than me now. Now I've got somebody to do it with me. So we would during his lunch break, we would, every week kind of hop on FaceTime, and we would read, we would go over lines, we would read lines. And so that's how really the process, kind of started to kind of unfold. So a couple weeks after I had that, those what they call read-throughs, I met with a friend of mine who has a videography and photography company, and I brought him in to do kind of like the camera work. And so the first thing he asked me was, after I laid out my plan and kind of told him what my idea was for this, he said, well, what's your budget? Now, while I was doing my master's, I had, started doing some research on what the budget would cost, because I kind of wanted to get an idea of how much money we needed, right? That, like any business, you kind of want to have a framework for your budget. So all of the research that I did and all the different sources said, well, you've got to have $100,000, $150,000, upwards of $200,000 to do something like that. And I thought, well, the only way that might happen is if I catch lottery. So and I was like, well, if I have to have that much money, then that's going to kind of put this idea on hold. But then I thought, wait, what could I do with a lot less than that? What if I could do it with a lot less than that? So I kind of wrote down a number, and I said, okay, $40,000. And my friend looked at me and he said, no, I don't see you spending that kind of money on this. It's 15, there are 5 episodes, they're 15 minutes each. Like, you could do this with a lot less, you could do this with a lot less. And so I went home, I retooled the budget, and then a couple weeks later, we came up with a number. So the big question was, how did you fund it? How much did I spend? I have a piece of paper right here that details how much I spent. How much do you think I spent? So right now, I want you to comment down below how much you think I spent self-funding the first season of The Associates. I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. Ready? Go. So are you guys ready to see how much I spent on the first season of The Associates? What was your number? What did you guess? Are you ready? Let's see. So how many of you guessed 15,000? Yes, you are reading that right. $15,870. So this, what you see, is not a detailed budget sheet, but this is just the total of everything that it cost me: cast, crew, post-production, travel, lodging for everyone. It wasn't easy, but let me tell you something, it was worth every penny. So yes, 15,000. And I know some of my family and friends are probably looking at that, are probably gonna look at this video, look at that number and go, you spent how much? But yes, I spent that amount of money. Y'all, it was, like I said, it was worth every penny. So how I self-funded this, again, I didn't take out loans. I didn't pitch to investors. I didn't crowdfund. You know, my philosophy on that, like, I was brand new to entrepreneurship, you know, new to filmmaking. I didn't have a large following. So my logic and my reasoning, kind of childish maybe, but I was like, who's going to invest? You know, kind of like that feeling of who's going to invest in me? Who's going to listen to me? But through self-funding, I found that it actually gave me more control over the budget, because the risk of pitching to investors is that they can pull kind of the funding anytime they get ready. You know, self-funding kind of gives you more control over the budget, and then when and then also kind of when you do have investors, they kind of have a stake in what goes on. So they can potentially, take, you have to give up a certain the ownership, or a certain percentage of the ownership of the rights to the show, if they do decide to invest. So I didn't want that for my show. I didn't want that for what I was trying to build, so I self-funded. And how I did that, every month when I would get my monthly check, I would take out a percentage of, my check, and I would put towards this. I also, like I told you guys in my previous video, I saved, when I was in college, so a lot of that also went to this. And when I was, when I was short or needed some help with the budgeting, my mom and my dad would help me. Shout out to them, because they really showed up. They really showed out for me, and they brought up the rear when I needed help. So I would not be here without them. Thank you guys. If you're watching this, I love you guys so much. I know that everybody doesn't have that kind of support in their family, but the good news is, you can find your tribe. You can find that help. You can find that tribe. You've just got to do your research, and you've just got to put yourself out there. You can find that funding if you really want it. So here are some tips. If you're thinking about doing, any type of film production, any type of film work, and you have a small budget, like if you have 5 pages of a script written, and you have $500, and you have your smartphone and your backyard, use the space that you have available to you. Use the budget that you have available to you. Guys, I never thought, if you would have told me 13 years ago that I would be here on a platform talking to you guys about my journey and talking to you guys about, all things entrepreneurship, I would have laughed at you. But it just goes to show that sometimes the universe, if you really put yourself out there and you really want to do it, the universe will help you. God and the universe will help your dreams unfold. I am a big believer in that, you guys. So like I said, find what works for you, find the system that works for you. If you have a low budget, use that and grow from there. The point is, you have to put yourself out there. I know it can be scary, I know it can be intimidating, but I can guarantee you this, it is worth it. So guys, that kind of wraps it up for this video. I hope that you got value from this. Please share this with somebody that needs to hear this message. Share this with the aspiring filmmaker or entrepreneur in your family. Give them encouragement. And another thing that I want to share with you guys too, support your creatives, guys. Like, you know, when we're out here doing all of these things, it is hard. It is not easy, you know. So when you see your favorite creators, your content creators, your filmmaker friends starting a Patreon or starting a YouTube channel, a lot of that is because we want to build community, but we also want to get access to funds. We also want to get access to equipment to make our dreams come alive. So it's a team effort. You know, we can't do this without your help. So support your creatives, guys. We need it. It means a lot to us. So yes, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let's continue to empower and inspire each other on our journeys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.